We did have some big news today. For the first time since 1941, the Steelers have made a coach firing in the middle of the season. Matt Canada is gone. He is out as the offensive coordinator of the Steelers. I cannot believe it took this long.
You're gone. You're gone. You're gone. Hell yeah. We hate Matt Canada on this show. We've been talking about him bad for the entire season. Steeler fans hate him. Andrew Williams, our boss, also Steeler fan, hates him.
How is Andrew a Steeler fan, by the way?
I don't know.
Andrew, how
It's
are you a
suspect.
Steelers fan? I don't understand
The whole
this.
thing is very suspect. Luke, our producer, don't know how he from Maryland is a Steeler fan either. These terrible towels, I think they're enticing. Anyway, everyone has hated Matt Canada. Cannot wait to see how this offense functions. We saw what happened with the Buffalo Bills when they fired. I almost said killed, but that's not what I meant.
Hopefully
Fired Ken Dorsey. They looked really good offensively. Sometimes it's the talent, sometimes it's the coaching. Let's hope for the Steelers' sake it's just the coaching.
Steelers under Matt Canada, 28th in points per game,
Gross.
28th in total yards per game, 30th in yards per game, or yards per play, sorry, 27th in red zone percentage, and 30th in first down percentage.
I lean towards the dog here. I took some at +5. I think it's mostly 4.5 across the board now. I definitely feel worse about that. I'd like to get that 5. I made it about 2.5, so that's where my number's at. Matchup wise, though, I have some concerns for Marquette, especially in the paint. Iguodala was terrific last night with some of those momentum changing dunks that really sparked that 17-0 run that the Golden Eagles went on. But he is not a wide, strong, like he's put on some strength, but against Hunter Dickinson, he could have some issues in the paint. I don't want to see him in foul trouble because I think that really spells doom for Marquette. So they've got to figure out a way to avoid that. And then on the perimeter, I think Tyler Kolek's ankle might still be bugging him. He seemed to lack a little burst last night, and one of the big Marquette runs happened while he was on the bench. And Kansas got DeJuan Harris, arguably the best point guard on-ball defender in the entire country. He's going to be all over him. Marquette might have to find some secondary creation out of Sean Jones and Chase Ross, and they got it last night, but going to need even more of that tonight. So this is mostly a number play that I took, less than a unit on Marquette at +5, but definitely don't recommend it at 4.5 because I've got just some matchup concerns, like I said.
That 13.5-point spread, Oregon State, that is a Vegas mistake. There is no shot Oregon blows out Oregon State at home.
That does feel a little ridiculous.
No way. It's just not happening. I actually almost sprinkled +400 Oregon State on the money line. I think I might still do it. Oregon State could very easily beat Oregon in Autzen Stadium. To play spoiler, that's what they've done so many times before. We've been ranked, thought we were going to go to the BCS, title game, and they've somehow, some way spoiled our dreams.
What do you think of that total? As an Oregon alum and your team and the points they can put up, but also defensively, let's not disrespect that defense there. Does that feel like a high total to you?
What is the number?
62.5. Feels about right to me. I'm going to be honest. It feels about right. I kind of actually like an over in this, but
yeah, Oregon State's offense, not great. Feels like if you like Oregon State in this game, you probably like the under, because they're gonna absolutely try to muck this thing up. They're gonna try to make it difficult for Bo Nix. Bo Nix could have 8 passing touchdowns a game if he wanted. They're pulling him in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
If you're Oregon State and if you're a fan of them covering that number, Bo Nix will not pass for 8 touchdowns.
And that's why I kind of look at this and say, if Oregon is going to cover that 13.5,
then it's got to fly over.
It's got to fly over.
Unless it's like 42 to 10. But I don't think Oregon State's only putting up 10 on us. I'm sorry. They're a better offense than Utah.
Big surprise in this, although I don't know if it's a big surprise anymore. Coming in at number 10 in my Week 12 power rankings, I have bought in. I love this team. My God, the Houston Texans are number 10 for me. Watching what they have been able to do.
That's brilliant. I didn't do it, but I should have.
Trista, they are a legit playoff team. And the AFC is stacked. They may not end up making the playoffs, but they're at least in contention right now at 6-4, where I look at this and go, Okay, first off, the offensive line was really bad. But C.J. Stroud has overcome that bad offensive line for the entire season. He only threw 2 picks before the game against Arizona, where he threw 3. Yet he still overcomes that mentally as a rookie to go and make sure that they are winners in that game. Like, there are some times where I watch what's going on, and I don't know what words to describe C.J. Stroud are, because we just really haven't seen anything like this. The poise, the confidence, the football IQ, the leadership. He's just so mature. There are certain positions in the NFL that you can be a crazy person. Like, you can go out and be a guy that just likes to party and goes in and shows up to games and practices, and it's fine. You can't be that as a quarterback. You were essentially the CEO of the franchise on the field. You were the leader. You're the person in charge. You set the tone. You set the example. And C.J. Stroud is doing absolutely that. D'Amico Ryans is Coach of the Year. Plain and simple. Devin Singletary's had back-to-back 110-yard games. Tank Dell's turned into a real receiver. I'm at a loss for words for what this Texans team has become. It's a great story. To watch this turnaround so quick is really what the NFL is all about. We see teams go worst to first all the time. Maybe not all the time, but semi-regularly, honestly, which could be a chance that's what we see from the Bears next year. Going to have a new head coach. Eberflus is going to be gone. They're certainly not in my power rankings, but you got multiple top 5 picks, most likely. The Bears could turn this thing around in a season 2, and you end up just like the Texans. So the Texans come in at number 10 for me.
Number 1, Niners. When they're healthy, they're a buzzsaw. Perfect Purdy. Everybody wanted to bench him. They said, oh, he's washed. Oh, he's not good. The only thing he's benefiting from is the Kyle Shanahan system. And guess what? You get Trent Williams back. You get Deebo Samuel back.
That's
and
right.
Things look amazing.
Yeah.
And when they were unhealthy, the Niners were 7th in the power rankings, and now they're number 1. They're number 3 in yards per game, number 1 in completion percentage, number 1 in yards per attempt, number 1 in touchdowns, number 1 in quarterback rating, number 2 in PFF grade. That's in all of Brock Purdy's stats, and we are sleeping on him, and he's done that behind the number 28th ranked offensive line in pass blocking. That's ridiculous. We got to at least give Brock Purdy his flowers. He is ridiculous. You add Chase Young to this team, and this pass rush gets even more elite. I love the Niners. I think that they could win the Super Bowl.
Turnovers, though. I mean, Josh Allen is just turning the ball. He's got 12 picks this year.
Do MVP voters care about turnovers?
It's not a first priority, but it certainly does matter if you're generating all these extra possessions for other teams. But in the end, if the Bills came back and won the division, and Josh Allen goes and beats both those teams, then yeah, he's going to absolutely be back in the conversation. And you're not getting that 18-1 price anymore.
No, you're not.
But
it's a good bet.
But realistically, do you trust that he can do that? And
yes.
This Bills team? See, I don't. I still don't trust the Bills.
The reason that I trust it is because I've seen him do it, right, with these same guys. It's really, to me, we saw him with Brian Daboll as the play caller really do it time and time again. We saw it against the Chiefs on multiple occasions. We've seen it against the Bengals, not last year in the playoffs, but again, that was Ken Dorsey. So if Ken Dorsey is gone, I say like Ken Dorsey could be the banana of the NFL, where bananas just, you put them in your lunch bag and you eat a sandwich and it tastes like banana, right? It just gets on everything. The stink of banana continues to persist. They generate fruit flies. They are one of the most overrated fruits in all of life. And I think it's because it's subsidized by the government. It's 19 cents per pound. But, like, you know how it is. You put them even in your freezer, and they get smell and taste on your food. So that's Ken Dorsey. His mediocrity was wafting over this organization and sticking on everyone to the point where Stephon Diggs is unhappy.
Yeah.
James Cook is unhappy. He's getting benched for a full quarter when he fumbles. Like, I don't know that that's Sean McDermott alone. So if he's gone, and if he's like the banana where you get rid of him and all of a sudden things start feeling a little fresh, then the Bills could be cooking.
But that's the thing, is you have to be able to be confident enough that that's going to be the case. Because we've watched the Bills regress the last 2 years.
18-1.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you're going to place that bet, you got to be confident enough that that's going to be, like, that's ever going to be something that's worth placing, because you're getting the value and it's going to change.
What the Sixers have been doing behind the scenes for a long time now, as far as I can tell, I don't feel like they should make any moves for a star. It feels like the culture and the chemistry on this team is clicking at a level that we haven't seen for Philly. And the stink of losing, where you just feel like Philly is going to choke things out, choke it up in the playoffs, it just doesn't feel like that now. What do you sense in terms of what Daryl Morey is going to do with Philly at the deadline?
I definitely never whispered to him. We spent some time together, spent many a phone call, no whispers. I think right now the Sixers are enjoying and evaluating just how great Tyrese Maxey can be. And to your point, Trista, like what type of player can best optimize him and Joel Embiid, as opposed to going into this year. And from the get-go, the rhetoric you heard around the Sixers from James Harden's trade request back in July was, well, what can I do to support the reigning MVP? That calculus has now changed when Tyrese Maxey is putting up numbers in his fourth season that rivals Steph Curry back in his fourth season. Not to say he's going to get to that level, but when he's presenting as like an all-NBA candidate, I think that changes things where, Damian Lillard was someone that the Sixers obviously called about when he requests out of Portland. And, there's the thought of would there be like a real point guard as opposed to the combo guy that Tyrese has. So I agree with you that I think his progression and just how much they've really benefited from him being on the ball, it kind of does make more sense. And I think the Sixers are open to this idea of maybe just trading one pick or maybe one pick and something else for someone who's like a ceiling raiser for this team, because they do value all the cap space they're going to have this summer. And the Sixers will be happy to say that of all the teams in the contending picture, they're going to have the most cap space of any to offer some disgruntled, veteran who could just decide, I want to go play with those two guys in Philadelphia.